Welcome to the Average Australian Podcast.
Oh, what a fabulous volley from Tim Cahill! You will not see a better goal than that at the World Cup this summer.
Oh,
Big
great
save.
save again by
It's a
Swanson!
huge save.
Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again!
Might drop for Fornaroli! Oh, that is simply brilliant!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Average Australian Football Podcast. This is episode 23, and Ed and I are back once again to discuss everything A-League in this shortened round. There's also Socceroos squad announcements. There's the EPL, the FA Cup, the Champions League, some huge results there. So to discuss all of that and much, much more, I am joined by Eden. Eden, welcome back.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. How's your week been?
Good. Yeah, not too bad. Probably a bit of lack of football, but still I think heaps to talk about. So, yeah, I'm ready to get stuck into it, man.
Yeah, let's get into it. I guess we'll start with the Socceroos announcement, the squad announcement. It got cut down from the 30 to the 23. There is quite a few big inclusions. Most of all, I guess, from the A-League side of things, I'm slightly disappointed personally that Leckie and Cruz are still there. I think there's some A-League players that deserve a recall more than their place in the squad. So what do you make of the squad overall? And I guess the A-League inclusions especially.
Yeah, I mean, predictable mostly of who Postecoglou cut, I guess, in terms of guys like Gersbach and Mobile and Nathan Burns as well. Craig Goodwin maybe a bit hard done by, getting like good game time in Netherlands and playing pretty well by the sounds of it as well. But like you said, I think Cruz especially, but also Leckie, they've got to be on their last legs, surely, if they don't perform in these two games. It's interesting, Postecoglou always talks about form rather than, the name or reputation and all these sort of things, but I think definitely Leckie, Cruz, they're in on reputation. And the other one, and even he admitted it, there was an interview with him today where he pretty much admitted it, that Sainsbury was in basically on reputation. Since he's moved to Inter, I don't think he's had any game time at all. He's been warming the bench. Yeah, he's been warming the bench big time over there. So he even admitted that one was pretty much on reputation.
One thing I will say, just quickly, is that I think it's easy to say that form over reputation when you're on top of the group, but I think when you're fighting for that, like, this is do or die now, and I think reputation is probably a bit more safe, even though I disagree. I can understand where he's coming from.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, I don't have a problem with it, and look, he said the same thing for Cruz pretty much, and he kind of, it's funny though, it's just that, like you said, when it comes to the crunch, sometimes all those great ideas that even, he had have to go out the window.
Yeah.
Because if you remember back in the day, Pim Verbeek, the famous comment that he made was, training in Europe is better than playing in the A-League, and everybody got their panties in a twist over that one. But now actually Postecoglou's pulled out the same thing where he's pretty much said, look, Leckie, Cruz and Leckie not doing much, but, he's like, they've got strong workloads that, we know how they're training and they've got good fitness levels and stuff. So like you said, at come crunch time, you got to pull out the ones that and guys like Cruz, Leckie, Sainsbury, they slot into the system, and Postecoglou knows what he can get out of them. So I don't think any huge surprises.
One thing I think is massive, and this time last week we said Riley McCree was in for just a reward, but now he's in the 23. Do you think, at this point, does he make the bench at all, in either two games?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think
big surprise, right?
Yeah, and I think it is more of a just sort of give him a taste for it, and also just kind of nip at the heels at some of the older players who might be getting a little bit complacent. Obviously, Postecoglou rates him very, very highly.
Yeah.
So, big raps on him. I don't know if he'll get game time.
I don't think so.
Like you said, these are do or die games. This is crunch time. We're playing Iraq in Iran, I think.
Yeah. And then we play the United Arab
Emirates
right?
in Sydney. And there's a couple of things there. So one, Iraq in Iran, you don't know what you're going to get there.
No.
Iraq aren't bad.
They're a workhorse team, yeah.
And look, for us, we got to do the travel and all of that sort of stuff. And then the thing that worries me and a lot of other people is in Sydney, the pitch is, it's just horrible. It's a shocker.
Cow paddock.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's probably being kind to it. It's just a disgrace.
I feel like Sydney and Melbourne should have pitches that like resemble the Emirates Stadium. Like, I don't know why we're so far behind. Like, yeah, we're not like a massive soccer nation, but like in terms of sports, well, we're right up there.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of infrastructure and those sort of things. And like you said, I mean, Melbourne's got Amy Park, and the Amy Park pitch is immaculate generally because it is a football stadium. Allianz just gets carved up by rugby and concerts and all sorts of stuff, and no one really cares. And that's been an ongoing debate for a while that we need a proper and the problem is that the other kind of stadium that we have, the Homebush Stadium, same thing. You got your concerts. Bieber's playing there tonight, man. I'm
surprised you're doing the podcast.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I'm actually just hiding behind Nana. So that one gets carved up.
You're on a hot spot.
That's right. I'm just about to, but I mean, that's the same thing. That one gets carved up as well. And so, and the problem with that one is it's like a 90,000 seater. So if you don't fill it up, it looks stupid. So we just need like a 40,000 seater dedicated stadium in Sydney. You'd think, bigger city in Australia, you'd have that.
You think so, yeah.
We don't. And that's a worry as well, because against the UAE, if we could actually get some slick passing going, we should be able to beat them. But on a cow paddock, anything's possible.
You might see a better pitch in Iran. Like, that's what's crazy.
You might. You probably will, because that'll be, they don't play rugby and they don't have Bieber going over there. So
you can't see Bieber flying to Iran.
That's right. There ain't no Bieber in Iran. They'd whoop his ass. So, look, you probably will find a better pitch. And that's then going to put us to the test over there as well. So no huge surprises over the squad, more just worry. Like where are the goals going to come from?
When are the games? Are they 23rd of March or something?
Something like that. They're not far away.
No, they're this month, right? I think
so, yeah. So it's coming up, and
I do agree with you. I don't know where the goals are coming from.
Yeah,
maybe Tommy Juric in his form, because he seems to be pumping away in club.
So we got Iraq away on the 23rd, and then UAE at home on the 28th. Now, Juric and Troisi are both in good form, but
the question is, Troisi, can he adapt to the international stage?
That's right, and Troisi is not an out-and-out striker, and I think he's well suited in the Melbourne Victory setup, but probably maybe in a world stage it's different. Juric I do have high hopes for. I think he's been quite good. But we need to see something out of Leckie and Cruz, I think, in those two games.
I'd love to see a prediction from you. How many minutes do you think Cahill gets over the two games?
30, 20, 30.
I think it'll be less than a half. I think it'll be less than 45.
I think so, and I think Postecoglou's even mentioned that he's going to be pretty much a impact player. And look, that's fine. I think you have him there because he's a Socceroos legend. He's the one that will rally the troops and motivate the players and just get everybody up and ready. And look, if it does hit the fan and we need a late goal, then if bring him on and bomb it in and hope for a header. Yeah. So I think he'll be crucial in these two games. Actually,
we just need to find that first 70-minute striker, don't we?
Yeah, well, that's right. And look, both of these teams, these are not going to be easy games. I really don't think so. And they're going to put us to the test, and it's all on the line. Like these are huge. I don't think we can understate how important these games are.
I don't trust our backline at all.
Yes, and that's maybe a weak spot there. So Ryan Grant, Degenek,
who's our wing backs? I know it's Brad Smith and that, but
Beach. And Beach has been good. He's playing in Turkey in the Turkey Super League, and he's played almost every match. So I'm surprised he hasn't been in the setup longer, because I think he's been playing week in, week out in Turkey in a pretty good club for quite a while. So he's one that I've been surprised hasn't been in longer. But you look at Rhys Williams. I mean, he's shown some glimpses in the last few weeks, but let's not beat around the bush. He's hardly played all season.
He's confident on the ball. I do question his positioning, and I think the Socceroos is all about positioning.
And he's underdone. I just think he's underdone. And against teams like Iraq that are going to run him ragged,
in those temperatures.
In the heat in Iran. Like, it's going to be tough for him. And that's why I really wonder, I would have liked to have seen maybe Alex Wilkinson from Sydney as a central defender, and Brillante instead of Williams. I think that's, if you're Josh Brillante, you'd say that's a similar position to Reece Williams, that kind of maybe CDM, CB. I'd like to see Brillante there instead.
I'm amazed he didn't even make the squad initially.
Yeah, I think he's been in stellar form.
Yeah.
I think he could have probably picked half the Sydney team there.
Yeah, I do agree.
So those ones I question, and I do worry. We do have Jedinak. The midfield's not too bad. Jedinak, Milligan, Moy, Irvine's been good, Luongo. So from that point of view, we're not too bad.
It'll be the wing backs defensively. Out wide, we're going to get pushed, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think, and look, and again, this comes down to that, the teams like Iraq, or probably most teams that we come up against, they're good on the ball.
Yep.
We, like Aussies, we've got good athleticism, we've got good strength, all this sort of stuff. But even a team like Iraq, they're good on the ball. They dribble well, they pass it around, they attack, they take the man on with the ball, and they look to get into the box, and that's where we come unstuck. If Iraq were just to hoof it all day, we'd be fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as we face tricky teams that want to dribble and take players on, we get into a bit of strife. So, yeah, fingers crossed, man. I mean, we need 4 points, I think, out of these two. We need to at least get a draw against Iraq and then beat UAE 3-0 or something like that.
I feel like if we lose to Iraq, the tie in Sydney is irrelevant. I feel like that's how knife edge this is right now.
Yeah.
I think we've got to pick up a point.
We need at least a point in Iraq. Yeah, we cannot lose. We cannot lose to Iraq. So fingers crossed. But it's huge.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Big moment for Australian football.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the National League, I guess right now Sydney have they mathematically summed it up? I think they have, right?
No, so I think it comes down to this weekend now. If the Victory lose or even don't win, I think it's all over.
Split round, right? So next week.
That's right. Yeah. Next. But if Sydney, and I think if Sydney win, then I think it's also a moot point.
Okay.
So it's all but wrapped up.
11 points, 4 games, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's all but wrapped up. But again, you look at, there was a strange game against the Mariners last weekend. They were really subdued.
They were, yeah.
I think some of that was to do with the pitch, because the pitch was, again, just an absolute shocker, and they couldn't get any fluidity or sort of consistency on the ball and passing it around. But the Mariners did all right. They weren't too bad, but I think it was more just Sydney looked a bit flat, really.
Why do you think the fans aren't showing up to their games?
Look, Sydney's that kind of market, for one, that it is, it's always been accused of being a bit of a fickle market. And I think that's why when, the A-League launched, Sydney wanted that to be that bling FC club and bring Dwight Yorke, because if they feel like they almost need to be a team of celebrities and superstars to get people out, because otherwise there's a lot on in Sydney every weekend, and it's hard to get a crowd. It's hard to get people in.
Fans, they'd change a Holosko or a Ninkovic for Tim Cahill?
Probably, yeah, they would, because
you think that would improve the fans?
I think so. I think so. Del Piero showed it when Del Piero came. So you have a little bit of that the crowds are hard to pull anyway. Second of all, I think Friday night doesn't work as well in
People
Sydney.
At work and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, Sydney is horrible for commuting.
Trying to get home, yeah.
Yes, I mean, you knock off work, unless you're working in the city, you're working anywhere else and you knock off 5:30 and the kickoffs. I mean, kickoff's still 7:50, but if you've ever been stuck in Sydney traffic, it's hell. Yeah. It's hell on earth. So Friday night's always tough, but then the problem is on Saturday night there's so much going on as well.
Yeah.
And I just also think, a bit of it's to do with like the atmosphere at the games as well. I think playing in a 45,000 seat stadium, that kind of doesn't work as well.
That's what I find as a neutral. Like I find like the atmosphere of the crowds, like just like visually, like looking at the crowd, it looks so bad.
It does, and you look at the Cove get good numbers.
They do.
And some of those Sydney games, they're still getting like 15, 18,000. If they played in a 20, 25,000 seater, that would be amazing. Like you look at the Glory games, or the Adelaide games, for example, when they're getting 10, 12,000 in a 15, 20,000 seater, the atmosphere is really good. Like the atmosphere at Glory games,
and oranges,
the atmosphere at Glory games is sensational, and they're only probably getting 10 to 12.
Yeah, they're averaging, I think, just under 12, yeah.
Yeah, and so when they get like 14 or 16 in a 20,000 seater, it goes off. And I think Sydney need a 20, 25, 30,000 seater to bring the atmosphere up. And look, to be honest, they probably do need a marquee. They need a couple of marquees. But also, I think the A-League crowds have been down in general this season, and that's some of the stuff that's on the shoulders of the FFA.
It's just like inertia, right?
Because this season started off so well. We started off so well. We had that Melbourne Victory, Melbourne City derby, second round or first round. That was a cracker. Then we had Sydney, Western Sydney, I think. That was actually the first round, 50,000 or whatever, 65,000.
Yeah.
Then we had Melbourne City, Melbourne Victory, second round. That was like 30, 40,000, whatever it was. Two cracking games. And the season started off really well, and it's just fallen off. So there's just a whole bunch of things. And this is, again, that whole thing about restructuring the league and just getting some life into it. It's getting a bit flat.
Disappointing, right? Because Sydney have been so impressive. I've seen people like compare them to like the Brisbane Raw team. I don't think they're at that level, but I think their consistency and their ability to shut teams out is like almost second to none, like from what I've seen personally.
I think so. I mean, look, the thing about Brisbane Roar at the time was no one had played football pretty much like that in the A-League.
No.
Victory had done it, I think, a couple of seasons before that, but then Roar took it to a new level. And, they called Raw Salona or whatever because they played that knocking around, fast-paced passing, lots of triangles. And
Sydney aren't about that.
Sydney are a Chelsea.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
But they're just really mentally strong. They got a superb defence. Their strikers are clinical, and they just choke teams out. And unless you score against them first, you've got pretty much no chance. So,
do you think that influences the crowds at all, like their style of play?
A little bit. I mean, it's not super exciting. But to be fair to them, they scored a lot of goals.
They have, yeah.
And they've smashed some teams. So,
but like,
I don't think
that can be deceiving in some respects. Like, if you score 2 goals in 8 minutes, and then the rest of the 82 minutes of this like controlled, measured possession style of play, like that can be boring to watch.
That's right. There is a little bit of that. And, although Ninkovic and Holosko and Bobo and all these guys, they're great
fantastic.
to watch.
Yeah.
There's just, like you said, there's not that flair. There's not, Ebini brings a little bit of it, but it's probably not enough. And they do lack probably a little bit of excitement.
Because they're not a super fast team.
They're not.
No.
And for me, I just think they are Chelsea. And
that's a good comparison, actually.
For me, but look, you can't take anything away from them. Not at the top of the ladder for a reason, that's for sure. So
it's not their fault the teams around them are absolute dog crap for most of this season.
Exactly. Yeah, but to compare them to Brisbane Raw, for me, not quite yet.
Not quite. Yeah, fair call. What do you make about there's only the 2 games, obviously. Victory versus Glory. I think my takeaways from the game was Victory were very clinical.
Yeah.
I thought Diego Castro was actually quite poor on set pieces. Glory had plenty of them in the first half, especially. Yep. I don't think the score really paints a picture of what the game was like, but I think it does show where Glory's problems are, which obviously most people would know by now.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I watched the highlights, look, Castro bangs one in after 4 minutes, and you think, holy crap, here we go. Like, the Glory are turning it on. Victory worked their way back into it, but like you said, there was a couple of crucial decisions or non-decisions there now.
Yeah, the Keogh held.
The Keogh penalty call, and then there was another penalty call as well. I think a penalty shout, or was that the only one? I feel like there might have been another one for the Glory there as well, and those ones didn't go their way. That could have been the difference, but like you said, the scoreline probably doesn't reflect the game. I thought Glory were quite good on the face of it.
One thing I did see was like it felt like not that I think the refereeing decision changed the game. Perhaps the penalty did a little bit, but like I felt like he was giving yellow cards to Glory players for their first offence, but was very lenient on the Victory. Not that I think that's a conspiracy going on, but it was just like very odd that like whatever Glory did, like I know, I think it was in the back line, Keogh held a player back, just grabbed his shirt quickly, and he was given a yellow card straight away for it.
Straight away.
No thinking about it, and then down the other end, like a similar thing happened, no card.
Yeah,
like, that's what frustrates me.
Look, I think a little bit of that is that Glory seem to, even still now, somehow people always seem to have an impression that Glory are like this physical side that they, you know what I mean? Like, that's just something that's always stuck to the Glory. I don't know why. And they have been in the past, you had guys like Jacob Burns and they had Pantelides for a while, and they did have some rough sort of players who were, no holds barred and would sort of do some crunching tackles and things. But I don't think they're that team anymore. But
they're still imposing. They got some big players. Yeah.
But I think the reputation kind of precedes them a little bit, and I think part of it is a little bit unfair. But I thought they were all right, Glory. They just, like you said, the game actually just showed what the difference is between Victory and Glory. Yeah. Glory leak goals, and
Victory was super clinical.
That's right, and that was
Tracy and
the
Rojas,
difference.
those two goals are absolutely stunning.
Yeah, they're back, and like you said, Glory probably just highlighted their over-reliance on Castro. And if he gets shut out or has an off night or just doesn't deliver 110%, all of a sudden the rest of the team just look a little bit lost.
Yeah, especially on the set pieces, right? Like he was very he wouldn't get past the first man like consistently in that first half, and he did score the goal, and he was like he always accounts for himself, like he's always there, but was pretty quiet. And then Taggart had an off game. And, with the loss, and we talked about their home run like last week, I'm not sure they're going to get top 4.
Oh, look, that's a tough one for them now. I think they need it. And like you said, I think they need a home final.
I think they do, yeah.
Because that game showed if they have to go to Melbourne or Sydney, I don't think they're going to have much of a chance. They're just going to be shut out. They leak far too many goals, and although they can score them, it's just too much on Castro's shoulders.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's a tough run in for them now.
They do have I couldn't list the entire group of players, but I think they've got 4 or 5 people coming back from injury at the same time in the next week and a half. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, they've got players coming back.
It's all to play for. I mean, it's in their hands still, but like I said, tough run in. And with Melbourne City and Brisbane Roar still to play now, it could make it difficult. But I still think they're in with a chance just on their goal scoring ability.
Yeah, I guess we'll see it soon. Let's go into the Melbourne City and the Brisbane games. City do play first on the Saturday. There's no Friday night game this week. The first is Melbourne City hosting against Newcastle Jets. Newcastle Jets, this is pretty much it. You win or your finals for this season is just a dream. It's difficult, right? Because it's been a while since we've seen City play. The last game, they were quite impressive, but they've been inconsistent all season. They haven't scored that many goals when you break down their statistics, especially at home, surprisingly. What do you think of this game? I think it'll be a tight game.
Look, I think both teams have been in a decline.
Yeah.
And that's what might just save City here is the fact that although they've been going downhill, so have the Jets, and City probably just have too much class for them. Big news for City is that Brandon's done his ACL.
Yeah.
And he's out. So that's a
huge
big
blow.
That's a huge blow. In a way, look, it might actually work out well for them in the sense that it might force their hand on tactics now and selection, in the sense that instead of having to juggle all of these attacking players now, okay, well, Brandon's not available, but, that's in a perverse kind of a way that might help them. But
they're not trying to fit them all into positions
that's
they
right.
don't fit, yeah.
But I think they'd still rather have him.
Oh, definitely. Especially off the bench, even if you can see the fact that they should change formations, right? Like, he's such a massive player.
That's right. So even though he's gone off the boil, they'd still want to have him. Jets have just been on a decline as well themselves, and they haven't had the rub of the green on decisions and things like that. But
goals have dried up. That's
goals have dried up. Over reliance on the boot. They're struggling a little bit. So I think City will deliver the goods on this one, but unconvincingly still for me.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight game, probably a 1-0. It'll be fairly boring, I imagine, which is disappointing, right? Because a month ago, this game would have been a whole different prospect. Two
attacking sides a month ago, and they've just fallen away big time.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to the next game. Adelaide United at home to Brisbane Roar. I don't know if you saw, but Brisbane lost again in the Asian Champions League 3-0.
Yep.
I couldn't even tell you the team, pronounce it right. I'd butcher it. But
I think it was it Kashima Antlers?
That sounds
was
about
that the
right.
Kashima...
It was the Antlers. I just don't know the
first
name.
I think it was, yeah. So there was Kashima Antlers. Look, that's a tough one for them. They didn't have much of a chance there.
Yeah, it was tight the first half, like 1-0. They had a couple of half chances, but you could see the quality difference for me.
Yeah, meanwhile, Adelaide 3-3 draw against Jeju United at home. Yeah. So big result for them. That's it. Very impressive for them. That's a big bounce back.
It's why I give them half a chance at home.
Brisbane, all of a sudden.
Yeah, Brisbane haven't travelled well. They don't typically lose Brisbane. They've only lost 5 times this season. I think that's second best in the league now, even ahead of Victory. So I'm not saying Adelaide will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a low-scoring draw.
Oh, look, a bit of confidence there for Adelaide from that ACL result. Brisbane having to travel... and they've been on a bit of a decline themselves, Brisbane.
They have not travelled well with midweek games.
That's right. Yeah. And it seems like the ACL's really thrown them. So, look, they've got all to play for, because if City win the night before, Brisbane Roar really need to win just to stay in it.
Keep away from Perth, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. So, there's a lot riding on it for them, not so much for Adelaide, and that's why it could be dangerous for Brisbane. That Adelaide are on a bit of a roll now.
Yeah. I think on paper you'd always say Brisbane, but you just look at that midweek game, and it's a potential banana.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I might say a draw, just because Brisbane do have a bit of class, and I don't know if Adelaide have strung together, two kind of positive results like that, for a while. So I'll say a draw. But I think it's a dangerous one for Brisbane. Their form hasn't been great, so
should be
it's all on the line.
Yeah, it'll be a low-scoring game, but it'll be interesting to see how Adelaide, especially they start, because they should have confidence from their Asian Champions League result. Fans will be there, obviously, one of the better grounds in the A-League, so, fingers crossed for them that they can, kick on. And just, they might not even finish last in this season, to be honest. They're only 5 points behind the Mariners, who've played a game a hand. So, I mean, win this, and they're only 2. So, I mean...
That's right. It's not worth. Over, and... Yeah, no. like I said, they get good crowds. They got to at least do it for their fans. So
definitely,
I think it's a slippery one for Brisbane.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the last game of the round is Wanderers versus Wellington. I don't think it's getting spoken about enough, because I think this game is huge from a Wellington perspective. Win this and you're into 6th place. There's only 4 games left. A huge game for the top 6. Saying in that, I don't think either team are going to have much of an impact in the finals. No. But I mean. You look at all the disparaging comments about Wellington, from people like Mark Bosnich, they're questioning their place in the league, what they offer. To have all that happen and then to finish in the top 6, that's an accomplishment.
It is. Like I said, I think it also probably shows a bit of a weakness of some of the teams around them.
Yeah, Wanderers especially.
But this is a classic 6-pointer here.
Definitely.
Wanderers win, and they've pretty much cemented it, or close to.
No, it does. Let's be honest, right? It'll be 5 points. 5 points.
Look, and Wellington win, and it's all game on again.
Definitely.
Personally, I'd rather see Wellington in the finals, just because I think they're more exciting if they can string it together. And conversely, I think teams would rather face Wanderers in the finals, because Phoenix can do damage on their day. They haven't been able to put it together most of the season, but when you've got guys like Krishna and Bonavacia and the like up front, Barbarouses, Finkler...
I was just going to say that. Who's the most exciting player in those two teams? It's Krishna.
It's Krishna, yeah.
Like, Wanderers don't even have a finals player that fans should be excited about.
No, they don't. And look, this is, I think we were actually embarrassingly unclear on what the final structure was like for this season. So just to confirm that, it's actually the first week of the finals is third plays sixth and fourth plays fifth. So if you look at a team like the Glory finishing maybe third and having to play Phoenix in sixth, that's a tough game. Like you'd still back the Glory, but
she's suggesting that Perth finish third.
If they do, they could. Yeah. They could.
But then in the same token, right, like if Perth Glory finish fifth, where like I predict they might, like I think they'd rather play City than Brisbane at like away.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah. But I think realistically, I think any team would, I think, prefer to avoid Phoenix out of the third and the fourth teams. You'd prefer to avoid Phoenix, I think. You'd rather get the Wanderers. Because like you said, I don't think the Wanderers have any X factor. I think they would be a fairly easy beat, especially for a team like a Glory or a City who would go on an all-out attack.
Yeah.
Phoenix, although it hasn't come together for them all season, I think they can do damage, especially guys like Krishna. So I think this is a huge game. Wanderers at home, are too hard to call. I might just give it as a draw as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a draw. Both teams will score. It's a huge game. Huge game. I don't think it's been talked about enough. And fingers crossed, just from a neutral perspective, that Krishna can score, because I think he deserves to get into the finals, if nothing else.
Yeah,
I think fantastic.
He deserves to be playing in a better team, to be quite frank.
I agree. Yeah. I haven't actually heard anything that he's going to leave or anything, so I mean, I'd be curious to see what happens to him at the end of this season.
Yeah, look, I think all the Phoenix contracts and decisions and things are up in the air at the moment.
Yeah,
but
even the manager, right? So we'll have to see who comes in.
Exactly.
We'll leave the A-League coverage there because it's, the split round and only the 3 games this weekend. So let's move on to the EPL briefly. That itself was disrupted heavily by the FA Cup games midweek. Anything you want to talk about from a EPL perspective? Not too much has happened, to be honest. Like Man City sort of like threw away their double game week. They played Stoke, drew, which is disappointing for them. Because they're really the only challenge for Chelsea, in my opinion. I don't know if you saw, but Harry Kane got injured.
Yeah, that's worrying.
Midweek. So, I mean, that might disrupt them from an EPL sense.
But yeah, I mean, the EPL results weren't exactly riveting. Man City, Stoke, 0-0.
The big result for me is Hull beating Swansea, because Swansea had been pretty good. Hull themselves actually have as well, but that's very interesting that bottom half.
That's Hull a good result.
Just in the relegation, I think they're 1 point away from Palace.
They're right in the mix there. So yeah, that is a big result. You're right. And I thought the other one was Everton with the 3-0 over West Brom. Everton have just quietly kind of sitting in 7th. And Lukaku's on fire. And the news is now that he's rejected the latest Everton offer. And I think that was one of the headlines I saw on one of the sites, was pretty much, how long can Everton keep Lukaku for? Like, surely he's got to make a big money move to a big club.
Well, I had this conversation with someone else midweek. Like, I was like talking like, where would Lukaku go? Like, I can't see him going to the Spanish clubs like Madrid or Barcelona. They've got no room for him. So, like, does he go to a PSG?
And
can you see him going to an English club?
I think he's suited to the English style, just because he's that kind of a player.
Yeah. But where would he go? Like Man United, would they sign him with Ibra and such?
And this is the thing, you see these big money transfers fall over so many times. Like, what happened to Wilfred Boney?
Yeah, exactly.
When he went, like, nothing. No. What happened to, like, there's dozens of them. Like, you could reel them off. He went to Chelsea, flop, or went to City, flopped, whereas when he was at, a mid-tier club, he was banging them in. So, Benteke is another one, for example.
He went to Liverpool, flopped.
Yeah, hasn't really set the world on fire. Or who's the other one that went to Liverpool? Was it Lallana?
He's done okay, yeah.
He's done alright, but...
Who else is a big strikers?
There was a few like that have sort of
like
made
Negredo.
that move. Yeah.
He left. Yeah.
And so I just think sometimes it can flop for them because you'll go to Chelsea or City where there's like 17 strikers.
Yeah.
And, he'll lose his form, whereas at Everton, he's the main man. And I just think he's suited to that style. But having said that, he's red hot. Like,
he's fantastic.
And you do wonder what he could do at a bigger club.
Difficult choice for him personally, right? Because like they probably will get Europa. He is a player that should probably be in the Champions League, but like if you break down the clubs he could go to, there's no certainty that he'd like not flop, like you mentioned.
Yeah, look, there's that, and then like you said, where would he go? I mean, Chelsea, they've got their quota. City, they've got their quota. They've got Aguero. Is he better than Aguero? No. So is he better than Costa? Probably not.
So Costa might not be there next season. He could return back to Chelsea.
He could. So there could be an opening there for him. But again, as good as he is there actually any room for him? So he might just be better holding out for more money and staying at Everton. They're not doing too bad in seventh, but interesting news anyway to see that he's definitely pushing for more.
Yeah, definitely. We'll quickly go over the games coming this weekend for the EPL. The only game I really want to talk about is the City-Liverpool game. It's on the Monday. I think it's around midnight Monday morning. I think it's 3:30 your time.
That's huge.
Huge implications for the top four. I guess for City, they've got to win it for their, final surge for Chelsea. Not that I think Chelsea get caught up to, mind you, but
no.
What do you think of the game at Etihad Stadium? Liverpool have been good against the top teams. They typically struggle against the bottom half. Me personally, I think Liverpool might sneak this.
I think they might as well. I think City have been victim to some of those teams that do play that
the press,
pressing, the high press and the aggressive attacking style. And Liverpool will do it better than most teams. And we saw City, this season succumb to Leicester like that.
Yeah.
So I think Liverpool are every chance. And like you said, they do good against the big teams. They struggle against the smaller clubs. So I think, Liverpool are right in it, and it could very well be an upset.
Yeah, it's a huge game for them because if you look around the English fixtures, like Arsenal play West Brom, Man United play Middlesbrough, Chelsea play Stoke. You expect all those teams to win. Spurs potentially tough game especially if they've got no Harry Kane against Sutton. But like a massive game for City and Liverpool. The loser could see themselves out of the top four, potentially not Man City, mind you, but it's a close top 6 or 7 now. Do you feel like going through the games? I'm feeling like there's not too much. I'd rather go to the Champions League personally.
Well, the Champions League is huge. I think recalling back to our discussion last week, Paris versus Barcelona.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up. I thought this was a different PSG. I thought it was matured. They were like making a name for themselves in Europe. One of the big European super clubs, and then Barcelona come, I guess with a little bit of help from the referees, but, dominant performance, right?
I mean, yeah, that's something right out of the headlines, isn't it?
Was it 3 goals in the last 10 minutes?
Yeah. And Neymar really sort of turned it on there at the end and got them over the line. Just incredible performance. I don't know what it actually really says about anything really. Like, does that mean that? But was this kind of like their last hurrah, or is it?
Yeah,
or Paris are just kind of not where they think they are, or I mean, Barcelona is still a team in decline, you would say. Let's not forget they did still get pumped 4-0 in the first one, so
yeah,
it's not like this came out of it did come out of nowhere, but.
All the criticism out of Barcelona right now, this is like through social media journalists like posting articles on Twitter and stuff. Like the main criticism seems to be the lack of identity at Barcelona. and they don't think the current team has like an identity, like when they play, like their formation, how they go out. So, I mean, you've got the front three that are clearly the best in the world, Suarez, Messi, and Neymar. But, I mean, they've been exposed quite a few times this season. I think they're second in the La Liga behind Madrid. So, I mean, they had to win this because, the fans are very fickle in Spain.
Yeah.
And for PSG, I think they've got a young squad. I don't think the disappointment for them is because they were so far ahead. The first performance was so strong that to concede 6 goals straight in 10 minutes is just embarrassing more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, there was definitely plenty of controversy. And I think PSG have pretty much compiled a list of grievances against the referees in that game, including, I think, what the ref was basically swearing at them or something there to, but I think we discussed, like, that approach of how do you, when you're going in with a 4-0 like that against, like, what approach do you take in the second game?
Exactly.
And I think they went in with the negative approach. And it cost them a little bit. And like you said, a little bit of luck went their way as well. And it's interesting, like you said, for Barcelona, that the famed sort of tiki-taka style that you always knew for Barcelona and their whole style and culture of the club and stuff, it is kind of waning. And
it shifted, yeah.
It is pretty much just, Neymar, Messi and Suarez up front, kind of doing everything. So it'll be interesting to see, can they keep going now, Barcelona? Like,
depends
will
who
they
get,
I mean, will they just, the steamroll? Because there's a lot of other good teams obviously still left. There's still Real Madrid. You've still got Dortmund. You've got Juventus.
Atletico.
There's still a lot of good sides left. So
what about Leicester?
Wow, yeah.
I cannot believe that.
What's Ranieri thinking? Like,
do you think they would have won with him there?
Look, I mean, I think they would have, but obviously from their point of view, they think they did the right thing. Even today, there's reports coming out that the team was pretty much running themselves. The players were managing themselves and looking after training and tactics and all this sort of thing themselves, because Ranieri was just such a basket case.
Which Arsenal players did that.
That's right.
Manage themselves.
That's right. No, but see, and look, I don't know how much of that to believe. I mean, I can't believe that he just went from guiding them to the trophy to all of a sudden being this basket case of a manager who couldn't manage the team. But as far as they're concerned, the results are, the sacking's justified because of the results. They're all of a sudden they're through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
Unreal.
Yeah, unbelievable for them. So, as far as they're concerned, I think they're laughing. They've done the right thing, and they've dragged themselves out of that relegation quagmire mostly as well. So as far as they're concerned, it was the sacking that had to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, things are looking up for them. I'm not sure if they'll get any further than this. There's quite a few teams that I think will spank them, but huge accomplishment to get quarterfinals.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, what else happened? Juventus won, which was expected. We've got the Man City-Monaco game tonight, which should be fantastic. That game's evenly poised. I think City 2 goals ahead, but away to Monaco. We've seen Arsenal go there and lose, so I mean that's not guaranteed for City, but we'll see what happens with that. Just quickly before we go, you want to talk about the FA Cup semi-final draw? We've got Arsenal v Man City and Chelsea v Spurs.
Yep.
What do you think of the games? What's your predictions for the 2 games?
Oh, look, I mean, good fixtures. You got pretty much two top four matches there.
What I like about the games, I think the teams have drawn each other well, because I think Chelsea and Spurs are the 2 defensive teams.
Yep.
And I think they will have a good tactical battle. And I think Arsenal and Man City are a bit of a nutcase defensively.
Yep.
And they like to attack. So I think in terms of just stylistically, the match, I think both games are fantastic.
Yeah, I think they should be cracking games. I just have a feeling like this is all lining up to be Chelsea's year. And I think they'll probably pick up the double here. They'll get the cup and then the league. So the Arsenal dramas continue. Obviously probably not much expected of them against City, but what do you think would happen if they lose in the cup?
Yeah, I get the feeling that Arsene Wenger is going to re-sign no matter what happens, which is depressing, right? But the game itself, I think it's very interesting because I think both teams can self-destruct, and City are very, very quick. And the game's not until next month, so a lot can change. Arsenal typically go on their end of season race for fourth run.
That's right.
So I think even if Arsenal win, I don't think they beat Chelsea in the final, like you said.
That's right.
I don't think it matters too much, but the game itself should be good. Wembley, I'm not a big fan of Wembley at the semi-finals being played at Wembley.
Takes a bit of that
prestige
majesty away from it, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it should be at a neutral ground. But anyway, I think Arsenal, they're in a big bad situation. There's so many off the field incidents. Like even like their chief negotiators leaving. I think their chief scouts leaving. Andre Jonker, the head of the academy, he's left for Wolfsburg. So they've got such a restructure to do, and they've had 2 years now to start thinking about implementing like structural change that helps like Arsene Wenger when he leaves, because he's done everything. Yep. And to replace Arsene Wenger, you've got to sign like 3 or 4 people in the back room.
That's right.
And they haven't done that at all. So, it's just a shambles. We could talk about this for 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, in terms of the FA Cup, I don't think it matters too much if Arsenal win or lose, because I think the end result's the same.
The end result's the same. I think it's Chelsea's year. But look, we'll preview it. We'll preview it come closer to the games, obviously, when we'll know the teams and things like that. But like I said, we don't want to turn this into an Arsenal podcast because we could be it's going to get real depressing.
It certainly will. Look, I think we're going to leave it there for this week, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, I think that's we've covered pretty much everything there is. So yeah, look, let's touch base again next week. And maybe we'll take another look at the World Cup qualifiers, a bit more of an in-depth look for those next week.
Yeah, I think we'll look at that, and obviously after this weekend's A-League games, we'll be back to business as usual as far as the A-League is concerned. 4 full rounds left, half of this round obviously, and then it's finals times, and it'll be fun for the podcast to get into a bit of the finals atmosphere and talk about the games and break all that down. But until then, thanks for joining me once again, Eden.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for listening. You can find us at www.theaverageaustralian.com. We're also on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Patreon, and everywhere else, even places you least expect to find us. So
that's right.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Until then, bye-bye.
See ya.